California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger decided there's a weapon that's too dangerous to be in the hands of private citizens. This past week, a new law went into effect in California banning that weapon. It's the .50 caliber rifle, the Rolls-Royce of sniper rifles. It's a big gun, a favorite of armies around the world. And it's still available in 49 states in this country to anyone with a clean record over the age of 18. It is without a doubt the most powerful weapon you can buy. Powerful enough to kill a man or pierce armor from more than a mile away. Here's the .50 caliber rifle in action. As a Senate report put it, a bullet from this gun, even at 1.5 miles, crashes into a target with more energy than a bullet from Dirty Harry's famous .44 Magnum fired at point-blank range. One of the world's best combat weapons, it was invented 22 years ago in Murfreesboro, Tennessee by Ronnie Barrett. This gun was your idea?
Yes, sir.
You invented it?
Yes, sir. When I was
Where'd you come up with the idea?
Well, I was just a 26-year-old kid and didn't know any better.
He knew enough to design a weapon that today is used by the armed forces of 35 different countries. Are these the guns here that we're talking about?
Well, this is one of the .50 cals. This is a semi-automatic. This is the 82A1 rifle. This was the first rifle that I designed, and has been our most popular rifle. This is the one that the United States Army ordered. Matter of fact, this is a U.S. Army rifle here.
Even though the .50 caliber rifle is a military-grade weapon, federal gun laws treat it like any other hunting rifle, and Barrett can sell the gun to civilians. He says he needs to because military sales vary widely from year to year.
If it weren't for the civilian sales, I wouldn't be here. There's a lot of defense contractors that would not be here.
If you couldn't sell to the civilians, you'd be out of business.
Would never have been in business.
Barrett has sold thousands of .50 caliber rifles to private citizens who he says want the guns for target shooting and big game hunting. Barrett scoffs at critics who claim that all those .50 caliber rifles are too dangerous in the hands of civilians.
Matter of fact, the .50 has an excellent record. You know, as far as the abuses with .50 caliber rifles, they are so few, if any, that all other calibers ought to aspire to be have a good record that it has. And it's a long rifle, as you can see. It's not. That's why when you hear people say it's a criminal's weapon, this is at 5.5 feet tall or something like that. This is not a rifle that a criminal would be.
Somebody's not going to go into 7-Eleven to rob them with this.
Sir. And matter of fact, they haven't.
It's not convenience store robberies that worry Tom Diaz, a gun control advocate who was an expert witness in the California campaign to ban the gun. He says the .50 caliber rifle made by Barrett and other manufacturers is a menace in the hands of terrorists.
This gun is designed and built to smash things up and to set things on fire. It's a battlefield weapon, and yet it is sold as freely on the American civilian market as a .22 bolt-action rifle.
We met Ronnie Barrett, the inventor of the .50 caliber. He's a very good businessman.
No doubt.
He makes a good product.
Absolutely.
It's legal, and he's doing a good job at selling it. What's wrong with that?
I'm glad Ronnie Barrett makes his rifle for our military forces. I think it's a great thing on the battlefield. I just think that there are certain occasions when we say in our society, this product is such a threat to our health and safety, and in this case our national security, we will not allow it.
But isn't any gun in the hand of a terrorist a threat?
Well, of course any gun is, but it is a gun that is unparalleled by any other small arm available to civilians. We control every other kind of weapon of war you can think of: machine guns, plastic explosives, rockets. This thing has flown under the radar for about 20 years.
Why do you need a weapon this powerful if you're not fighting a war?
It's a target rifle. It's a toy. It's a high-end adult recreational toy.
And those people who say that your gun in the hands of terrorists is a deadly weapon.
Any rifle in the hands of terrorists is a deadly weapon.
Are you ready? All right, the range is hot.
But New York City's police commissioner, Ray Kelly, says the .50 caliber rifle is in a class by itself. How far away are the targets?
300 yards.
Kelly agreed to show us just how powerful the .50 caliber is. First, a police sharpshooter fired the NYPD's own 30 caliber sniper rifle at a steel target.
You clear?
Downrange, 3 football fields away,
These are the 3 shots that fired?
the 3 shots from the 30 caliber rifle bounced off the half-inch thick steel.
You can see it hasn't penetrated.
Then the sharpshooter fired 3 rounds from a Barrett 50 caliber rifle at the same target.
All right, through.
Wow.
Yeah. It is clearly a weapon of war, a round to be used in a wartime situation. It's appropriate for the military.
And the effective range of this thing is what?
The effective range is about 2,000 yards. No, it's a very formidable weapon, no question about it.
In other words, if the NYPD's range had been 20 football fields long instead of just 3, the 50 caliber rifle firing ordinary ammunition still would have been devastatingly effective.
Clearly, it is a very powerful weapon. We saw what it can do as far as going through armor.
This would be a significant weapon in the hands of a terrorist?
It would be a weapon that could do a lot of damage, no question about that, yes.
Which is exactly what the FBI learned in 1993 at Waco when Branch Davidians fired a Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle at them. In response, the FBI deployed Bradley fighting vehicles for protection. But even that wasn't sufficient, and heavier armor was brought in. What happened at Waco was one of the arguments made for banning the weapon in California. Other states are now considering a similar ban for fear of potential terrorist attacks.
If you go through virtually any industrial state, you'll see right off the highway all kinds of highly toxic and or flammable materials stored in big tanks. These are ideal targets.
But wouldn't those also be targets for a smaller gun?
The point is that you can plan your attack from a longer distance. It's the combination of range and power.
And look at this for power. That's the standard 50 caliber bullet on the right. It's 4 times heavier than the 30 caliber bullet in the middle and 10 times heavier than the M16 bullet on the left. In addition to the standard 50 caliber bullet, some bullets are designed to pierce armor, some to set things on fire. Those are all legal to buy. But the most devastating 50 caliber bullet is an armor-piercing, incendiary, and explosive round, sometimes called Raufoss, after the company that makes it. Ronnie Barrett says he's not concerned about Raufoss because it's illegal.
It's a high explosive round. It's not available commercially. I can't even buy it.
In fact, we found a number of sites on the internet that claim to be selling the explosive Raufoss ammunition. On one site, we witnessed someone making an apparent purchase of the illegal bullets.
Would it surprise you to know that we went on the internet and within minutes found Raufoss ammunition for sale?
Yes, it would surprise me.
That's true.
Yeah, and if it is out there, and if someone other than our military has it, then it is stolen, and those people need to be prosecuted. We have laws against that. Passing additional laws, is just a redundancy.
But according to Tom Diaz, the threat posed by legal ammunition is frightening enough.
9 out of 3.
He says there are many potential targets, but the most obvious is commercial aviation.
Do I believe you could shoot an aircraft at altitude? Of course not. But on takeoff and landing, I could take you to places in Washington, D.C., where I am absolutely certain you could shoot an aircraft with one of these guns.
Clearly, with the range that it has and the impact capability that it has, it would put an airliner or an airplane at risk if it hit that plane, yes.
Could that gun be used to shoot down a commercial airline?
It'd be very difficult. It would, if it were a tactic that were even remotely possible, then our military, who happens to use the rifle also, would be training their troops to do such.
In your own sales brochures, you advertise a 50 caliber as a weapon that can take place.
There's some military brochures that we had early on that would show that you could damage aircraft on a runway or Scud missiles and things like that. Yes, you could, if you have a parked target.
You're talking about them parked on the ground, not in the air.
That's correct.
Just this past year, the RAND Corporation released a report identifying 11 potential terrorist scenarios at Los Angeles International Airport. In one scenario, a sniper using a 50 caliber rifle fires at parked and taxiing aircraft. The report concludes we were unable to identify any truly satisfactory solutions for such an attack. Tom Diaz told us about other much more specific scenarios in which terrorists might use the weapon, which we chose not to broadcast.
I consider some of the stuff that Tom Diaz lays out irresponsible. I know a lot of things, but I'm not going to go on the television and tell people what capabilities of equipment are and possibly give ideas to people.
So what he says is irresponsible?
Yes, it is.
Is it accurate?
Yes, it could be. But it's also begging someone to commit this crime. Somebody, please commit this crime so I can validate what I've been saying so long. And it's repeated over and over, and I fear that somebody will answer that call.
It's kind of a classic gun industry argument. First they deny there's a problem, and then when something happens, they point the finger at people who tried to warn about it and say, you guys caused this and you just hoped it would happen.
Federal agencies responsible for preventing terrorist attacks declined to be interviewed about the .50 caliber rifle. But last June, the Department of Homeland Security told the Dallas Morning News, we remain concerned about any weapon of choice that could potentially be used by a terrorist, including a .50 caliber rifle.
Any rifle could be used to engage a target that it might stand a chance of hitting, of course. You don't want to shoot any high-speed projectile at an airplane. It's illegal. You shouldn't do it. You will damage the airplane.
The terrorist is not concerned about
That's
whether
correct.
it's legal.
And the terrorist is not concerned if you pass or Tom Diaz passes another law.
Diaz does want Congress to pass a law requiring, at a minimum, records to be kept of who's buying .50 caliber rifles.
The real question here is we do not know who has these terribly destructive rifles. No one in the United States government knows who has these guns.
But aren't records kept when a gun is sold?
The answer is no.
Under the Brady Bill, sales records of guns used to be kept for 90 days, which enabled the FBI to check the names of gun purchasers against terror watch lists. Then a year ago, at Attorney General Ashcroft's initiative, Congress reduced the period of record keeping from 90 days to 24 hours. And that's the policy that's in effect today.